Awaken from Stuttering, The Truth to Perfect Speech by Deeterr and Snezhko. Chapter 1.
The Awakening of a Systemic Speech Therapist and Her Transformation into a Master of Standard Speech.
The sun peeks into the room and whispers, "It's time to get up." I open my eyes, stretch, and inhale the fresh morning air. I look at the phone, 7 o'clock. The class will start in an hour. I hope the internet doesn't let me down. After a quick breakfast, I rush to my home office while smiling at my husband's usual joke.
Watch out for traffic jam.
And sit down at the computer. My working day has started. I tap out a Skype message. "Roman, I'm ready. You?" 3 dots begin to move. He's typing.
I'm here and ready.
Over the past 12 years, thousands of my days have started this way. On the first day of classes, I translate from English into Russian to ensure Roman's full communication with English-speaking students from different countries. He would customize an individual lesson plan and explain to me the main direction of my individual work with the student. Then Roman would disconnect from the process of education because he speaks only Russian. During the next 2 days, I would independently teach natural Usta speech behavior to the student using my mentor's transformation program and openly rejoice at the rapid disappearance of stuttering right before my eyes. Most often, students stop stuttering and speak quite well by the end of the first day of classes. However, we, teachers of standard Usta speech, are not satisfied with just quite well. We are not satisfied with just a C or even a B grade. Instead, we aim to help each of our students attain an A+ that is achieved within the framework of natural Usta speech norms. The student's speech behavior should become stable and natural, and he should be able to recognize any mistakes in his use of the speech organ so that he can correct them quickly. We want to make sure that our student will never again fall prey to the common delusions that have been spread about stuttering.
A Shocking Awakening.
My transformation from an ordinary speech therapist into a master of standard Usta speech began when I lost my job in 2011. Without explaining the reason, the United States system of public education fired me, a highly respected speech therapist with 30 years of experience, after awarding me a certificate of appreciation for excellent work with students. Where is the logic? I thought while holding the notice of dismissal in my hands. I found the answer to this question years later when I realized that the soulless bureaucratic system to which I had given 30 years of my life has a very straightforward logic: money and financial benefit. Just like any business, it's concerned only about profit while using a propaganda of lies to extract even greater profit. The interests of living people do not bother it at all. Not surprisingly, the system immediately hired 3 minimally paid novice speech therapists. Nothing personal. It was just more profitable for the California school district where I worked after my immigration to the United States. What was I to do? Apply for the same position at another school district and continue to work in the soulless system? But I no longer wanted to spend hours sorting through mountains of paperwork, filling out strange forms, and preparing useless reports on standard testing of patients categorized as hopeless by the system. I was not given the time or the right tools to truly help clients with speech difficulties such as stuttering. This made me very upset. I was naive and wanted to actually help people solve their communication problems instead of getting paid for meaningless work with far-fetched statistics. Today, I understand that the system doesn't truly want to help people who stutter, but instead needs adjusted numbers in order to obtain public funds under the plausible pretext of treating a so-called incurable disorder and providing, hypocritically, assistance to so-called perpetually disabled people. Through the internet, I met the Russian healer and independent scientist Roman Alexeyevich Snezhko, someone who had resisted on his own this soulless system of lies about speech and stuttering in which millions of misled people were suffocating. With the ease and clarity, he demonstrated how mistrained specialists had contributed to the mirage of an incurable stuttering disorder. I learned about commercial business system that had spread around the world while defrauding taxpayers and people who stutter by convincing them that stuttering is a serious illness and that those who stutter need long-term comprehensive treatment. Roman explained that all medical and educational practitioners have been trained to believe that stuttering is some kind of a medical problem. This falsehood was first fabricated by Ivan Sikorsky, Ukrainian professor of psychiatry and dishonest politician, in 1889. This story is recounted in A Tale of Two Geniuses in Stuttering. In the years since, huge financial investments have been made to promote the unsubstantiated lie about this mysterious and incurable speech sickness. But this is a 100% deception. The veil of belief in the existence of a stuttering disorder gradually fell from my eyes and was replaced by a clear picture of reality. I began to awaken, realizing that both speech therapists and their stuttering patients are slaves of a single deceitful business system, hiding the following truth. Speech is the action of the usta muscles that produce one usta word at a time. Just like any other muscle action, the movement of the muscles cannot by their very nature be disordered. The stutterer simply moves his usta incorrectly, after which he misinterprets the resulting stupor without recognizing that it is a signal from the usta itself rather than a symptom of an imaginary stuttering disorder. Roman explained to me that stuttering is simply the effort of a person who is trying with all his might to do something that he doesn't understand and therefore cannot do well. Confused and moving his usta's muscles at random, he naturally begins to get stuck, repeat himself, draw out sounds, push, or discontinue his efforts, leaving his vaguely conceived action uncompleted. The person who made these mistakes doesn't need to treat a condition, but instead should simply correct them on his own once and for all. Anyone who stutters is simply an unskilled speaker who makes mistakes. Not understanding the natural speech norms, he strains, repeats himself, and stumbles due to inattention. As early as 1998, Roman was offering stutterers a completely new way to get rid of stuttering. They could change their behavioral patterns just in 3 days, but they needed to bypass the powerful medical system that had imprisoned them since their early childhood and that they undoubtedly trusted for so many years. In order to be completely healed, a stutterer must first clear his memory and consciousness of everything associated with systemic lies. Roman posted over the internet a revolutionary paradigm of simple, reliable, and quick relief from any type of stuttering that doesn't require the intervention of specialists who actually use treatment methods that are harmful. But this natural, effective paradigm isn't profitable enough to fuel the worldwide stuttering industry. Roman, in fact, had started a global revolution in our understanding of stuttering without requiring stutterers to pay anything. How is it possible, I asked? Did you manage to get a job at some college or a speech clinic?
Of course not.
He replied with a sad smile.
At first, I applied to several treatment centers for stutterers and offered to quickly relieve their stuttering patients from stuttering. To my surprise, I received a strong refusal. I asked several high-ranking people who knew me personally about the reason for my help being declined. They confidentially explained to me that the system did not need my discovery. It was too revolutionary and too contradictory to what was written in hundreds of thousands of scientific publications and textbooks about speech and stuttering. You cannot publicly refute the ideas of modern scientists around the world. Their words are considered indisputable scientific dogma, which everyone is obliged to believe. So I was advised to not even start any unwanted changes in the well-functioning and profitable mechanism of the system. Not a single scientist of the system will want to listen to some system outsider who denies the very existence of the stuttering disorder. Anyone who dares to speak out against the system will not last a day in it. He will be instantly fired, ridiculed, and deprived of all titles and privileges. System science is a tough thing. It's not to be trifled with. Do you deny its postulates with clear facts? Then expect trouble and reprisals. This is why I prefer to stay away from the deceitful system, working not for its benefit, but for the ordinary people.
I asked Roman how he had first approached the system, and he answered.
Upon clearly understanding the nature of stuttering and how anyone can get rid of it almost instantly, I naively went straight to a private speech center near Moscow. There, I offered collaboration with the leader of the clinic so we could free all their patients of stuttering in just 3 days. Note that I didn't even ask them to pay me for my work. You will not believe it, but when the director of the center saw me, she became very frightened. The lady literally retreated and ran out of the room, slamming the door behind her. After that happened, I realized that my offer to free all patients of any speech center from stuttering in just 3 days would greatly shock its leaders. My unprofitable proposal would certainly discourage them because it would inevitably destroy the business model of their establishment. I also realized that the natural usta speech norms that I discovered contradicted the way they worked with people who stutter. In that speech center, they were fighting stuttering with such ridiculous methods as accompanying speech with hand movements and prolonging parts of the words. To me, that was totally insane.
I asked whether he communicated directly with stutterers.
Yes, there were more than 30 of them in the hall. They also flatly refused my non-commercial, but quick and guaranteed offer to help them completely normalize their speech in just 3 days. Drawing out their words in a funny way and waving their hands to the beat, they assured me that they were quite satisfied with their kind and caring speech therapists and that they did not need me with my free, but incomprehensible norms of usta speech. They said, "We are ready to continue training here and paying for our treatment for as many years as our leaders would recommend." No one appeared interested in getting rid of stuttering on their own for free in 3 days.
I still remember that our first conversation and how much I became interested in his brilliantly simple and natural way of replacing the false systemic stutterers' habits with a speech norm that people naturally acquire from birth. I imagined how delighted my fellow speech therapist would be after discovering a new, simple, and 100% reliable way to help their clients eliminate mysterious stuttering disorders. After all, my former colleagues would no longer have to strain their imaginations by inventing new experimental methods for treating stuttering. Instead, they only needed to teach stutterers how to use the usta naturally, quickly, and efficiently. All speech standards discovered by Roman Snezhko are the natural norms of usta speech. They never change, always remain the same, and are universal for any person, no matter his psycho-emotional state or situation. Speech standards have no contraindications, age restrictions, or side effects. These natural norms guarantee ideal speech to everyone who learns to avoid an instantaneous signal from the usta that results in stupor. I also rejoiced for people who stutter as well as their families. Instead of paid experimental treatment, they would finally have the opportunity to learn to use what they were endowed with by nature without having to pay for endless ineffective treatments. When I first met Roman, I had mixed feelings. I was disappointed at my own naivety. How could I have wasted so much time and effort on futile attempts to improve the speech therapy treatment methods. I also experienced anger at the fact that they lied to me so much. Both at the university where I studied to become a speech therapist pathologist and in the many books that I endlessly bought and read in Russian and English trying to find answers. But I also felt relief, even pride, in finding what I was looking for during all the years of my speech therapy career. It dawned on me that I had been looking in the wrong places for a solution. For many years, I could not recognize the harm of therapeutic treatment methods for my patients. The system had disfigured my mind. Under the guise of helping sick people, I was trained to treat stutterers with standard systemic methods that, in fact, only confused and crippled my clients.
Walking the path to transformation.
After thoroughly studying the natural speech norms discovered by Roman, I followed him and fully supported his genuinely scientific method of helping people who stutter understand how those sta functions. I was captivated by translating his revolutionary discovery from Russian into English and enthusiastically began to post video lessons for English-speaking stutterers on social networks. I took on the role of a guide, opening the way for stutterers to quickly move beyond the false system of stuttering treatment into the world of normal people, where such a commercial phenomenon as a so-called stuttering disorder simply doesn't exist. I saw with my own eyes how, in just 3 days, anyone can be freed from the slightest sign of stuttering. Our students realized that they had never had any stuttering disorder and that they were simply unwitting participants in a business project designed to extract money from them. The revolution of truth in the field of stuttering had begun.